The Jewish Channel's Week in Review. Another newborn baby hospitalized after ultra-Orthodox circumcision, another side of Jewish rapper Y-Love, faiths working together, and more of the Jewish news that's changing your world right now in this episode of the Week in Review. Hello and welcome to the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. I'm Stephen I. Weiss. A newborn baby has been hospitalized after being infected during a rare and controversial circumcision procedure unique to the ultra-Orthodox. The hospitalization in Orange County, New York was reported by Newsday, citing sources in the Orange County Health Department. It is the first infection resulting from the ritual known as Matzitza B'Peh to be reported outside of New York City. This suggests that health authorities outside of New York City are becoming more aware of the infection risk posed by the ritual and more concerned about it. Within New York City, 11 such infections have been reported since the year 2000, with 2 having resulted in death and others resulting in significant impairment. The reporting of the first case outside of New York City also comes soon after the Centers for Disease Control released a study about the issue of neonatal herpes infection resulting from the ritual. The current commissioner of the CDC, Thomas Frieden, was New York City Health Commissioner under Michael Bloomberg for many years and led the charge to formalize concern and response to the infection risk. Frieden's taking his influence national on the issue would seem to be having an effect in Orange County here. Awareness has also been primed of late by reports in recent months that a newborn died in New York City in September of last year from this infection. While the rare ritual, which involves direct oral suction of the circumcision wound, is not conducted outside of the ultra-Orthodox community and thus poses little risk to most of the Jewish community, it seems to present a risk of infection for ultra-Orthodox newborns of approximately 1 in 3,000. As TJC has reported in the past, the ultra-Orthodox and particularly the Hasidim have fought aggressively any proposed regulation of the ritual or any health authority efforts to warn parents of the risk presented by the ritual. Last month, I was able to report something sources would not let me report in my investigations in 2006, which was that when New York City health officials proposed a PSA campaign warning against the risks of the ritual, Hasidic leaders said that if that campaign were launched, Hasidic newborns would no longer be brought to New York City hospitals. Someone who has also advocated against regulation of the ritual is a man we reported on last week, Yossi Gestetner, who had been appointed by the New York State Republican Party on June 12th as Director of Jewish Outreach. In TJC's investigation of an hour-long interview with Gestetner, TJC revealed that he had worked for an anti-Zionist organization within the past year, True Torah Jews Against Zionism, and that he had advocated on behalf of violent criminals and sexual abusers within the ultra-Orthodox community, and that he held a number of other controversial positions. As TJC was about to air this investigation, TJC gave news organization New York One News the story. When New York One contacted the chairman of the state party about TJC's investigation, Gestetner announced his resignation less than 30 minutes later. He is no longer employed by the state Republican Party and is not publicly working for any mainstream political organization or candidate, though he continues to blog at gestetnerupdates.com and post on Twitter. Other news in the world of ultra-Orthodox anti-Zionism is the arrest of 3 ultra-Orthodox men in Israel for allegedly committing the vandalism of Yad Vashem earlier this month, with spray-painted slogans blaming the Holocaust on the, quote, Zionists. The 3 men are between the ages of 18 and 27 and reportedly are members of the Neturei Karta ultra-Orthodox anti-Zionist sect and have reportedly admitted having committed the vandalism at Yad Vashem. The slogans included messages reading, "Hitler, thank you for the Holocaust," and "If Hitler had not existed, the Zionists would have invented him." The 3 men are also suspected of having vandalized other important sites in Israel in recent months and years, including Ammunition Hill. But back here in the States, 4 ultra-Orthodox men were arrested last week for alleged witness tampering. They are alleged to have offered a teenager $500,000 to change her testimony against Nehemiah Weberman, an unlicensed therapist in the ultra-Orthodox community who was arrested for allegedly molesting the teenage girl over the course of 3 years while she was his patient. The 4 men, Abraham Rubin and 3 brothers, Jacob, Joseph, and Hertzke Berger, are all out on bail. They allegedly made the offer for which they were arrested through the girl's boyfriend, suggesting that in addition to the $500,000 they were offering if the girl changed her testimony, if she didn't comply, they would ruin her boyfriend's kosher restaurant business. They allegedly tore down the restaurant's sign to, as the first news report said, show they meant business. The arrests come amid increased scrutiny of Brooklyn District Attorney Charles Hines, who was accused in a New York Times investigative series of having let the ultra-Orthodox play by a different set of rules when it comes to reporting crimes like abuse, in which the criminal and the victim are both ultra-Orthodox. One specific allegation against Hines was that he had allowed an environment of witness tampering to persist by failing to protest ultra-Orthodox rabbis' rulings that victims must consult a rabbi before they consider contacting law enforcement to report a crime. The day before the arrests, protesters were in front of the DA's office demanding answers. Meredith Gansman has that story.
Behind me, protesters are calling for Brooklyn DA Charles Hines to resign over child abuse scandals in Brooklyn's ultra-Orthodox communities. And they say the real abuse is of money and power. Protest organizer Ari Mandel of Zaka, a grassroots organization advocating for Jewish victims of abuse, had one message for DA Charles Hines.
Protect victims, not abusers.
With more and more sexual abuse reports coming from Brooklyn's ultra-Orthodox communities, Hannah Shapiro, also of Zaka, and Jews from all backgrounds took to the streets last week outside the Brooklyn DA offices.
We feel that Jewish victims of child abuse, sexual abuse specifically, aren't being protected in the community.
For years, ultra-Orthodox organizations and rabbis have advocated that members of the community victimized by other members consult a rabbi before considering contacting law enforcement. A recent New York Times investigative series revealed the extent to which those who report crimes to law enforcement are shunned or intimidated within the community, and suggested that Hines had not protested what he knew to be an ultra-Orthodox custom of reporting crimes to rabbis before police. This protest came less than 24 hours prior to police arresting 4 ultra-Orthodox men for attempting to bribe and intimidate a witness. For the protesters, concerns for victims took center stage. One prominent advocate said the victims bear too much pain.
Every victim is being tortured. Even myself, I'm not a victim. I'm the first whistleblower. 5 years ago, I don't have a shul where to daven out of 150 shuls. Well, after they come forward, the first thing the rabbi goes over to him and he says, listen, if your son continues to go to court, we're going to throw you out from the shul, like they did to a lot of people. Then they say your son will be, or your daughter will be expelled from school.
Activist Chaim Levin spoke of the difficulty of having abuse claims taken seriously within the community.
What we've been seeing is this incredible toxic cycle of, children coming forward with stories and then their parents don't believe them or their schools don't believe them.
For more from the protest of Brooklyn DA Charles Hines, tune into the full broadcast version of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Meredith. In entertainment news, Jewish rapper Y-Love is a familiar face here on the Jewish Channel. He's appeared on our series Holy Days and other programs, but you've never seen him like this. Y-Love recently came out as a gay man after spending years in the closet in the ultra-Orthodox community. Meredith Gansman reports.
June is National LGBT Month. That's lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. And last week was New York Pride Week. One person feeling particularly proud, I am sure, is Jewish rapper Y-Love, who celebrated his first Pride Week as an openly gay man.
This feels like my first Pride parade for sure, and it also feels like the first time that I really understand the meaning of the word pride.
So when exactly did you come out publicly, and what's the reaction been so far?
I came out publicly this year, May 15th, at that article in Out Magazine.
Okay.
Debuted #1 most popular on Out Magazine, went straight to front page of CNN Entertainment, got more likes than Britney Spears on X Factor.
What were you expecting?
Well, I thought that all of my Orthodox fans are going to go, all of the people who thought of me as being this voice of traditional Judaism, as being this voice of traditional values and this voice of conservative values, all of these people are going to leave, and then I'm going to be left with half the fans that I had before. I said news hit on the wire at 9 a.m., 6 a.m. Pacific. I'm watching my friends' numbers go down 5,000, 4,990, 4,980, 4,975. I put on Twitter, I was like, I think the tweet was, damn, haters gonna hate. I'm losing friends. It's like watching the altimeter.
On Facebook friends.
Right, Facebook friends. And I'm watching, it's like watching the altimeter of a crashing plane is what I said. Instantly, 20 friend requests, 30 friend requests coming into my inbox. The Y-Love fan page was getting a like every so many minutes. that initial like spark of hate was just extinguished by this flood of love that came from everywhere, even from ultra-Orthodox people.
All these years that you were in the closet, what was the religious conflict mindset that you had, knowing that you were not only a voice for Orthodoxy, but a strong member of the Orthodox community?
The Hasidic community, the ultra-Orthodox community, is very, very insular. So in 2005, like, my apartment was my Rebbe set me up with my apartment. My Rebbe set me up with my job. Everything from like where I got my lunch to the barbershop, everything was done. Every part of my life was taken care of by somebody, either in or down with the ultra-Orthodox community. If I said, like, if I would have come out then, that would have been it.
You've been out in the rap scene for, what, about 10 years already? Why you did decide during that to stay in the closet?
Because honestly, there's that lie, there's the commonly believed lie that homophobia is throughout hip-hop, that there's no corner of the hip-hop world that doesn't have homophobia completely all through it. If you come out, then you're gonna lose all your fans, you're never gonna have any street cred, you're never gonna get into any ciphers in the underground hip-hop scene anymore, anything like that. Having believed that for so long kept me in as far as professionally. The reaction from the hip-hop community was the exact opposite of what I would have expected. I've had absolutely no negative reactions from the hip-hop community. It's been uniformly positive.
For more from my interview with Wylove, tune into the full broadcast version of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Meredith. People of different faiths working together for a common cause is the subject of this next story by Rebecca Honig-Friedman.
A Christian, a Muslim, and a Jew get together to organize for progressive issues. No, it's not the beginning of a joke. It's the premise of the Community Organizing Residency, or CORE, the first ever interfaith program of its kind.
I'm always wondering, what is someone else thinking? That why is there a girl in a hijab standing in the back of church on Sunday?
Faiza Ali is one of 16 graduates of CORE's second cohort, and now works as a community organizer for Brooklyn Congregations United. Organizing congregations of different faiths, she frequently finds herself, a devout Muslim, in church. But her training through CORE can be credited to a Jewish organization, Bend the Arc.
We are the progressive voice in the Jewish community, and we're the Jewish voice in the progressive community.
Bend the Arc is primarily a grant-making organization. In fact, an early grant was made to a group led by now President Barack Obama, and CORE was founded in response to demand from Bend the Arc's grantees.
They would say, well, we need skilled organizers. And it would be really helpful if those organizers were able to talk to people who were people of faith.
And so CORE was born a couple years ago, inviting people of faith to hone their skills as community organizers through placement in organizations doing such work, and to foster a new interfaith community of faith-based organizers.
What the program was providing, or essentially was showing, was that there was this alignment between social justice and faith. And that's where, in my own spiritual journey, where I was headed.
We often said in our retreats or in our cohort that we were pretty sure that the next Gandhi or Martin Luther King was there in the room with us.
A community organizer for Jews for Racial and Economic Justice's Shalom Bayit Domestic Workers Campaign, Rachel McCullough said the interfaith aspect of the program was important for her work with both Jewish and Christian constituents.
We organize Jewish communities, domestic employers, seniors, people with disabilities, young folks like myself, in solidarity and partnership with Domestic Workers United and other organizations that organize and represent nannies, housekeepers, and elder caregivers.
Interfaith learning was also a draw for Anna Chireno, a practicing Catholic who works primarily with Christian communities as an institutional organizer for Make the Road New York.
I'm a New York kid, so I kind of de facto live in an interfaith setting, and to me that was something that I loved about New York. It makes my life richer.
For more on Bend the Arc's Interfaith Community Organizing Residency, watch the full broadcast version of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Rebecca. That's all for this week from all of us here at The Jewish Channel. Be well. The Jewish Channel is available on cable. Time Warner Cable Channel 528, IO Optimum Channel 291, RCN Channel 268, Bright House Channel 330, Verizon Fios Channel 900, Cox Channel 1, Frontier Communications, and now on Comcast Cable in the on-demand menu under Premium Channels. For more information, visit tjctv.com.